Hi. Hi everyone. I'm at New York Eye Doc on Instagram, but my name is Damaris, Dr. Raimondi. And how are you doing today? Let's see. Should we just get started? Hey guys, I have this whole list for all of you. I hope all of you are doing well. Things are a little not so great in New York. So hi again, I'm Dr. Raimondi. I'm an optometrist, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I became an optometrist. Hey everyone! So I'm coming to you live from New York, and feel free to add any questions in the meantime. And hold on, how do I turn this on? All right. So feel free to ask any questions at any point, and yeah. Again, a couple of updates in New York. Thank goodness, me and my family are doing really good. I'm still working at my hospital, and I also live really near Elmhurst Hospital. So if you've seen that in the New York Times, I live a few blocks away from there, and just the numbers coming out it's really grim and really sad, and there's not enough PPE to go around. So anyways, that's just me updating you, but I'm doing okay. My family's doing okay. Hey, opticianista_LA. Hey, Bile. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to start from the top, from my childhood. Basically, once again, for those of you joining us, I'll be talking about my journey from birth to now, to where I am today, and how I became an optometrist. Again, this is from the Latinx in Medicina Instagram, and for a lot of us, actually for every single Latino or Latina, our experiences are incredibly different, but every now and then when we do get to talk to each other and kind of get comfortable, we find things that we uniquely have in common that we can share and talk about. Thank you so much. I'm doing well. So let's get started. All right, so from my childhood, I was always super curious. I always wanted to go to school so badly. Me and my mom would stand out from our apartment window, and the yellow school bus would roll around, and I would always tell her, when is it going to be my turn to get on that yellow school bus? And, finally it was my turn, and it was the best day of my life. And I remember that all the other kids from the neighborhood and the playground were at school too, and they were crying. And I'm like, why are you crying? I'm so excited to be here. Anyways, that was school. And growing up, yes, I did have one of those Fisher-Price medical bags, like those doctor toys, where it had a blood pressure cuff, and it had a syringe, and it had a Band-Aid, and I would take care of all my dolls. I remember that very vividly. And in terms of, we're going to fast forward through childhood. In terms of childhood, and there's a lot to unpack, right? No, but looking back on it now, I'm 30 years old, and my parents did an amazing job parenting. They weren't perfect, but they got it so right, because they instilled the right amount of fear in me, the right amount of curiosity in me, and my dad always wanted me to feel like back to school was the most exciting time in the world. We would go crazy at Staples. Geography was a huge thing with all of us. I don't know, we would go over north, south, east, west, and then we would talk about what neighborhood in Queens we were walking past. And my dad always had this joke when we were driving around. He'd be like, oh, if we had to stop the car right now, what direction would you have to walk to get home? And we'd be like, that way. Hey guys. So again, my parents were great. My mom was really religious when I was growing up. So that's where I ended up learning. I learned how to read super young because of that. So we would get into all the texts and stuff, and I would memorize Bible stories. So, that must have enhanced my neurotransmitter connections really early on, all that recitation sort of thing. But yeah, that was my childhood in a nutshell. And let's move on to elementary school. It was great. Teachers immediately identified that I was a little bit more gifted and whatnot. So I was always placed in the honors program from then on. Elementary school, really good. Middle school, since we're on here, let's talk about it. I was bullied a lot. My elementary school, things were, in elementary school, it was really diverse. My middle school, because of where I lived in terms of zip code, all of a sudden, I was in a school where nobody else looked like me, other than my two cousins and a few other kids. I lived right on the edge of on the corner of Middle Village, Regal Park, and Elmhurst. So wherever, like one block, if you walk one block, you're in a different zip code. And middle school was tough, you know. The reason I'm bringing up middle school is because that's where I was first called an immigrant. And when people wrote on like my yearbook, that's what they wrote, you know. And the reason that's noticeable now is because like parents must have taught their 10-year-olds to say this kind of stuff, right? And back in 2016, when our, number 45 was elected, it basically became an issue again. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Yeah. So middle school, done. High school was a whole other story. Unfortunately, going to an inner city high school, we didn't really have like that much guidance. Unfortunately, our teachers were really mainly like babysitters. Sure, it's super complicated. The school was overpopulated. Back then, there was a lot of violence in there. So for most of those 4 years, I literally just like sat and talked to my other classmates. But once college time came around, we had a college office, and I remember going to that college office, and this must have been like 2006, 2007. And I went there to ask for a college application, because early internet times, it wasn't really that easy to find. And when you don't have your parents to guide you, you don't really know what you're looking for. So I went to the college office and they were like, we can only help you with CUNY applications. Everything else you got to look up yourself. And for those of you that don't know, CUNY is the City University of New York. So that's only like 11 local colleges and community colleges, which are amazing, but that's all they would help me with. They didn't say like, they didn't talk about the schools in the area. Again, I'm in Queens. So things like Hofstra, St. John's, Cornell, even Colgate, or even the SUNY schools, they didn't tell us anything at all. So I, on my own, had to go find all these college applications. And my husband, who back then was my boyfriend, he encouraged me. He was like, you have all the time in the world right now to look things up. And this is when you should like research all the scholarship opportunities. And I'm just scrolling right now to see if there are any questions. Put some questions in, guys. So what everyone in my school thought was, because CUNY was the local system, it was cheaper. But what we did not and failed to realize was that other schools in other states and other schools everywhere else offer big scholarship opportunities if you look into them. So I ended up going to St. John's University. They were the ones who gave me the best financial aid package. Mind you, a better package than CUNY. And I remember telling my best friend to apply with me. And I was like, hey, come on, apply with me. I'm telling you exactly what to do. But for some reason, she just like was worried with like so many things going on at home, and she didn't do it. And then a year later, once I was a freshman at college, she was like, oh man, I should have listened to you. And I'm like, why didn't you? And she was like distracted working, distracted with like our parents and stuff. Because it's not easy for any of us, right? Anyways, I'm going to need a sip of water. Please put in some questions. Yeah, it's a tough thing. And hey guys, I wish I was a DJ like everybody now going online with the DJ music. But yeah, that's it. That was a lot of talking. Let me get back to my bulletin here. Okay, so getting into college, and then I got into like 10 different colleges, which was amazing. So I chose St. John's, and my very first day there, I was late. My very first class was Biology 1. I knew I wanted to be a biology major. I somehow had it in my mind that I wanted to do pre-med, and thankfully, again, like high school, like college, everybody was really diverse, so it was really chill, and I was able to find my groove. Our professors were always really available, so from day one, I was going to office hours, and one awesome thing that St. John's did, because it's a private school, it assigned every single freshman a freshman counselor. And on our very first meeting, they did not waste time. They were like, what major are you? Bio? All right, we're going to write down we're going to map out the next 4 years of your life and what classes you're going to take right now. And I wrote it all out, and I was like, oh, look, at the end of the fourth year senior, you're only going to be taking 9 credits. So I followed that to the T, and that was instrumental in helping me, because now that I'm older and I talk to other students from other schools, I realized that unfortunately their counselors were unable to give them proper information on what classes to take. And yeah. So anyways, yeah, thank goodness St. John's was there for me. And another thing that ended up what was beautiful about going to St. John's was that I had work study. So I had a little bit of money in my pocket. It was also really close to my dad's work, so he would drop me off every morning. It was good times. My mom would pack me lunch. And so work study was really good. It was simple. I could basically study. All I had to do was answer the phone. I worked at the speech language pathology department, answering phones, making copies. It was a beautiful thing. And so now let's get to my very first summer. So, right, like I was a freshman, and then my first summer, apparently people had plans on internships, and I wasn't sure about what to do. I just thought like, oh my gosh, I have this work study job. School is still open. It's going to be great for me to just keep working. And because I've been going to office hours, my general chemistry professor, Dr. Florio, she ended up asking me. She just asked me. I don't know why. I didn't ask her. I was so shy back then. She was like, Damaris, what are you doing in summer? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna work, maybe get another job. And then she's like, you need to do like some sort of summer internship program somewhere. And I'm like, but what do you mean? Where would I find that? She's like, all you have to Google is summer medical programs for undergrads. And there's so many. And I guess that comes in again, like being raised, being a daughter of immigrants, even though you do have all these resources in front of you, if you don't know what you're Googling, if you don't know what to search for, you're just not going to know. So all I did was Google that, and I learned about the SMDEP program. How many of you on here have heard of the SMDEP program? SMDEP. Let me know if you've heard about it. But basically, I applied to that. It stands for Summer Medical Education and Dental Program. But it's a 6-week immersive program where they take undergrads and they have them live the life of a medical student. I applied, I got into the Duke SMDEP program. So I was able to spend 6 weeks at Duke, paid with a little stipend, and room and board were covered, and food was covered too. But I didn't know that. And my general chemistry teacher told me, like, these programs, they'll pay you for the experience. So, hey, Dr. Irene. So my 6 weeks at Duke were amazing. I kind of already knew I wanted to be a doctor. And when I was following those med students, and then when I saw their course load and their coursework and just the beautiful campus and everything, I was really inspired. But I was also a little bit like, I got to see the reality of it, of the reality of being a resident, of being a med student, and how many hours that takes. Come on, guys, let me know. Hi. Let me know if you have any questions. I really want to answer them. Anyways, look, I want to answer them because I want to take a sip of water. That's why. Here we go. Oh my gosh, I need background music. Anyways, hi everyone. So my first year as a freshman, I did the Duke SMDEP program. It was amazing. I met a lot of people. This was 2009. And I met a lot of people who I still talk to this day. Many became NDs, many became nurse practitioners. I became an optometrist, and it was a great experience in terms of seeing what comes after undergrad. Thank you. Happy Doctor's Day to everyone on here. So yeah, let's go on to so after college, after freshman year, then I took a developmental biology course. And my developmental biology course, that's kind of where you learn more about the eye. And our professor was an adjunct professor who she also happened to be an optometrist. So by this point, I knew I wanted to do pre-med. I knew I was really into all that. And she, one day she came in with packets about, oh, now I'm getting distracted. No, I do want questions. She came in with packets about SUNY optometry. So sunyopt.edu, that website is sunyOpt.edu. She brought in this information packet about optometry school and about what you're able to do as an optometrist. And I was really shy, so I didn't ask her to be my mentor, but I applied to all of that, and that's how I got into optometry and how I learned about it. And I've also been wearing contacts since I was in middle school. So I was already really familiar with optometry. I was too shy to talk to my optometrist. Shout out whoever was at Sears Optical in 2003, 2004. But yeah, like I knew I wanted to do it. So then I immediately started studying for the OATs, which is the optometry admission test. And no, I wasn't able to find wait, that's not true. I did find a Latina mentor. I did. I'm going to get into that. I did. How did I find my mentor in medical school? I think I found my mentor now at 30. So I graduated in 2015 and now it's 2020. All right, so that's how we're going to get to it. So as you know, to get into medical school, you need the MCAT. To get into optometry school, you need to take your OATs. And so basically, to get into optometry school, you need to complete 4 years of undergrad, take your OATs, and have some shadowing experience, and then complete 4 years of optometry school, and then an optional residency, and then you're a doctor of optometry. Like me. Anyways, so shadowing experiences. This is my next bullet point. With shadowing experiences, that kind of goes into my first job. Let's backtrack a little bit. My very first job was as a bus girl at this Mexican restaurant, Mama Mexico, and that's who my dad knew. I remember asking my dad, like, don't you know anyone else that can hook me up with a job? He's like, this is who I know. We know restaurant people. Like, that's what, it's part of being a part of our community. And he's my, the manager of that restaurant was like my third cousin, twice removed, something like that. But when I started working in the restaurant industry, this was when I was like 16, it was so physically demanding. And I remember vividly telling my 16-year-old self, like, you need to hit the books. You cannot do this for the rest of your life. And so that's kind of what got me started with all that. But back to who your parents know, that's how I was able to get my first job. Otherwise, I applied to like every single store in the mall and I didn't get a call back. So we had to go based off of who your parents knew. And my parents didn't know any like doctors or anything like that. So how did I get shadowing experience? This must have been 2009, 2010. I think that was the absolute last year that the Yellow Pages was still a thing. I went to the Yellow Pages and I called every single optometry office and saw who would who I would vibe with. And I was able to find Dr. Patino. If you can find her on Instagram at Patino Eye Care. I cold call her out of nowhere. And then she allowed me to come in and shadow her. But apart from cold calling everybody in the Yellow Pages, hey guys! So I called so many different doctors' offices in the Yellow Pages and so many were receptive. A lot said oh, let me send you over here. So mainly I just looked for somewhere that was convenient for me. But apart from doing that, I hit the pavement. One day, it was a super hot day in summer. I just said, I'm gonna walk down all of Broadway and Queens, Elmhurst. I'm gonna walk down all of Broadway, walk around all of Roosevelt, and I'm gonna go into each of these stores. All of Regal Park. I walked all of Regal Park, and that's how I found my shadowing opportunities. I went in and I was like, hey, I'm trying to apply to optometry school. I would love to shadow you. And as I learned too, different practices run differently, and some places are not so like it's a small exam room, or it's fast paced, so it's not a great environment for you to shadow in. But so many of those doctors did talk to me on the phone and gave me advice and sat me down and were like, you're gonna love it. Do you love this? Do you love that? One even did a mock interview with me too. But yes, I was able to find a Latina mentor. Her name was Dr. Patino, and she's had her office in Jackson Heights now for 10 years or so. I wonder if she'll join. Maybe not. Times are really tough right now for all of us who do routine eye care and stuff like that. Hey Fred, how are you? How's everything? How's everyone doing? Tell me, everybody put a little the hand emoji if you and your family are doing okay. This is crazy, incredible times that we're living in. Who would have thought 20-year-old me who was hitting the pavement, literally knocking on every single optical, every single eye clinic and asking to see if I could shadow there? Who would have thought? Hi, happy Doctor's Day, everyone. It's a very difficult time to be a doctor. Very difficult, guys. But that's what we signed up for, and it's kind of heartbreaking. So I'll go back and forth between being sad and being happy. But anyways, so any other questions? Any questions, guys? I have my thing here. All right. So, because I was always talking to people on, oh my God, I'm so glad you're, yes, let me know if you guys are doing good. Send me this. Let me know if you and your fam are doing good. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for that. Me and my family are doing great. I just went to see my parents. I saw them with a mask on. Like, it's crazy, you guys. I'm so glad all of you are doing great. So where was I? I was, again, hitting the pavement. Who wrote my letters of recommendation? Dr. Patino wrote a letter of recommendation. My professor who told me about SMDEP, she wrote me a letter of recommendation. I was the one in office hours all the time. So because I was in office hours from day one, they knew me, they wrote my letter of recommendation. That was easy. And thank you, gosh. And I'm going to fast forward really quick now. When I graduated from optometry school, I wrote down like where do I see myself in 5 years? And right now is 5 years. And one of the bullet points I wrote, I just found it again. One of them was, I want to participate in many medical mission trips after graduating. And I want to be an optometrist at a community hospital. And I'm getting emotional now. All of that is coming true. So I don't want to being right here, right now, as difficult and crazy as these times are, it's an incredible moment. So all of you should be really proud of yourselves for just, thriving and being here and having everyone and having your family and all that. So it's a beautiful thing. So anyways, yes, letters of recommendation, get to know your professors early on, knock down doors, email everybody, cold calling works, do that, and then forming those relationships. That's what's important. I took the OATs again. That was really good. Why are eye drops for red eyes not always recommended or frowned upon? Because red eyes or pink eye have many different things. Real quick lesson. If you have a red eye, it could be because you have dry eye. It could be because of allergic conjunctivitis. It could be because of a bacterial infection. Could be a viral infection. It could be COVID. It could be COVID, it could be uveitis, it could be so many things. So if you use drops like Visine, never use them because it's just gonna mask symptoms and we gotta find something else to use. What advice do you have for studying the OATs? Be honest with yourself. I know I had to be honest with myself and sit down and really drill down on the books. I didn't sign up for an OAT lesson. I think I went on eBay and got the big Kaplan OAT book and I worked through that every single day after school. I must have worked on it in the summer. And quick OAT story, my OAT testing site was right by my neighborhood where I grew up. And the moment I finished that test, I remember skipping home. I skipped home. I'm getting sad now because walking through the neighborhood and seeing all the shuttered storefronts, and we're a working class neighborhood. It's incredible. I'm getting emotional now, guys. I don't think I was emotional about this whole COVID thing before, but man, guys, like we're all in this together. All our families. Like I'm glad they're home, but I remember skipping home, and just like going to my mom and just like getting like food there, and yeah, that's what I did. It was great. Thank you so much. We can all do it. I love being able to relate to you guys, and God, why now? Why not? Anyways, but it was beautiful memories, and I hope things will go back to normal for all of us. And again, back to cold calling. So apart from cold calling all these different private practices and from finding another Latina optometrist, Dr. Patino, I found her through the yellow pages. I don't think she even knows that. I gotta tell her this. I went to St. John's University. I also cold called SUNY College of Optometry. So I encourage you guys to cold call whatever PA school you want to get into, whatever nursing program you want to get into. And what I said to the person on the phone, it was literally an operator. And I told her like, hey, I'm really interested in going to school here. Is there a possibility that I can shadow for one single day? And from that conversation, she connected me with the chief of the clinic, Dr. Pace. And somehow me, who wasn't even admitted, who was just an undergrad student, she told me, you can come in for one day. We can't have you come in for more because of how regulations are. And that one day that I was able to go in and shadow at SUNY Optometry, I met so many doctors. I met Dr. Madonna, I met Dr. Dool, I met Dr. Pace, and just gut instinct is real, guys. Following your gut, following your true instinct, it's so real, and I felt so good there. As much fun as I had at Duke, I was unsure. It was such new, uncharted territory. But the moment I set foot at SUNY Optometry, I was like, this feels right. So thank you, Dr. Pace, for listening to just one girl, one girl who just called. I literally just called the phone number and I knew nobody there, and she just somehow connected me, and that one day shadowing was amazing. So back to my bullet points. Thank you guys so much. We're going to get through this. What is this thingy? We're going to get through this. Oh, what did I click? I think I clicked for one of you to join me. Anyways, more questions, guys, please. And let me know how you and your family are doing. So yeah. And then on interview day at SUNY, it was amazing. I just felt great. It was an individual interview. It was like a large panel. And you guys gotta ask a question. I'm getting thirsty. We will get through this, and our neighborhoods are gonna come back thriving, and we're gonna get to visit our parents again normally, and she's gonna be able to cook me good food, because that's what I miss the most, the good food. Oh goodness. Okay, so during the interview, it was really easy, and they actually... Pay attention! For my interview, one interesting thing that happened during my interview was before the interview started, they were like, quick writing prompt. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I think the writing prompt was like, what's one like really cool and interesting thing you did? And I like wrote about this concert that I went to. Okay, no. I'm a huge Shah Rukh Khan fan, so I wrote about meeting him, and the way that ties into everything was because I was, because of my background, because writing about that, it kind of showed, like, how I'm so well-rounded and all that, and, like, and culturally sensitive and whatnot. So they're going to give you a writing prompt at your medical school interview, at your optometry school interview. They want to see how you write. They want to see how you communicate. They want to see how passionate you are about different things, because that's what's going to really make you a good clinician, and what's going to ultimately determine like if you're going to be like a successful doctor, because that's what it is, the patient-doctor connection, right? About the pandemic, I don't know what to tell you about the pandemic. I don't know what to tell you. It's tough. Don't touch your eyes. Don't touch your nose. Don't touch your mouth. Wash your hands. Please stay indoors. Things are tough. The most important thing I can tell you is that your health is absolutely everything. If we don't have our health, we cannot rebuild. So whatever money you're losing out on right now, that's not important. Think about what you have. You have your two parents or your one parent, you have all that. We're going to make it through. If we're healthy, then we can rebuild and start again, right? All right. So then I got into SUNY, and I was given an acceptance that same day at the interview, and I was jumping up in the air, clicking my heels. I was so happy. I ran home again. I got on the Q29 bus. I was so excited. And then after the fact, I only applied to 2 optometry schools. I applied to SUNY and Salus University, PCO, as known back then. And when I found out that I was accepted on the same day, I called Salus and PCO, which is in Pennsylvania, and I canceled my interview because it was going to be such a big trip to like drive all the way down there. And realistically, if I was already accepted to a school in Manhattan and I live in Queens, wasn't going to go there. So that was part of it. Did you feel like there was a stigma during the interview application season? Not really. I don't think so. It was very individual. It wasn't like a group or anything like that. So it was just mainly me. So during the interview process, no. But let's go. Great question. Let's go to my very first day of SUNY. Remember? Elementary school, super diverse. Middle school, I was like the only Latina there other than my cousins. High school and college, super diverse. So that's, high school and college. That's when you form your personality. That's when you form yourself. My very first day at SUNY Optometry, I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, only like 2 other girls look like me right now. I was out of my element. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to talk about with anybody. Literally everybody was, this was my mindset back then too. You gotta expand, you gotta grow a little bit. Everybody was talking about their summer vacation, what they did, their country homes, whatnot. Like, we never went on vacation. Vacation was going to Peru for like a month, and that was vacation. So I really did feel, and it was largely partially my fault. I felt really, I did feel like the odd one out in school because there was a lot that I didn't know, and a lot of the students there were new to the city, so there was a lot that they didn't know, so we would just stare at each other like this all the time. We didn't get each other. And then I realize now that it should have been up to me to really try to get to know them, but I wasn't there yet. I wasn't there yet in my self-growth or self-work. What study skills have proven to be the most useful? I'm still trying to figure that out. I am still the study skills, the Pomodoro technique, that, and being honest with yourself. What the Pomodoro technique is when you focus on 25-minute chunks at a time, only on the task at hand. You're not multitasking. You are focused on what you're doing then, and problem solving too. So working through problems. And through undergrad, I would do extra work sets. You always got to do extra work too. It's not just what they say in the syllabus. Like, you have to really understand everything and be able to explain it back to someone too. The one thing that I messed up on in optometry school was that because of the volume of information, I didn't try to learn everything as soon as I was hearing it. I thought, oh, I'm going to have time to get back on it. Like, no, like when you hear it the first time, when you read it the first time, you got to digest it completely at that moment. And you just got to do extra work too. I was told oh my God, why would you? That is not okay. Clinically correct. Clinically correct says I was told by my program director to only apply to programs where there are women that look like me. There's not going to be no program where women look like you. At work, there's no women who look like me. I work at a hospital right now. Nobody looks like me other than nurses, right? I mean, or like, the amazing people in the cafeteria, but no one looks like me. Don't even listen to that. You DM me after and we'll talk a little more. No. That's just not, unfortunately, there's just not that many of us. Like I was telling you, that's why I went on a whole rant about high school. Our high school they didn't have high hopes for us. Everybody there was just super concerned about being tenured and whatnot and just going home and collecting their check, and that's it. I didn't learn grammar properly. I didn't learn so many high school level things that I should have learned because of that. I think all of this, getting into medical school and all that, in terms of making it different for Latinos in the future, is addressing it in middle school, addressing the problem in high school. Because no matter where you go in any job, you're not going to see someone who looks like you. Even patients. I have to actively remember to be like, hey, I'm la doctora Raimondi, ¿cómo estás? All my patients speak Spanish. I have to actively remind them and let them know that, hey, I'm the doctor, because there's not going to be anyone who looks like you. But because Leslie has this platform, Latinx in Medicina, we can all find each other there, and we got to search nationwide for each other, but that's all good. I want to really get connected with someone in Queens and really try to encourage younger girls here. I think there's a program called STEM Hive. And yeah, what do I mean by being honest with yourself about your study habits? So from back to high school, from where I started with that, I don't have that foundation. And I can't go off of what other people are doing. I can't be peer pressured and being told like, oh, why are you studying so hard for that? You have to really evaluate yourself and say, I don't understand this, or I can't follow this the same way that this other girl is doing it. She's been working at a doctor's office, at an optometrist's office for years. I have to set the foundation down here. So if I don't understand something, what I mean by being honest is by just asking questions and not worrying about what people think. All throughout college, I would raise my hand way up high and be like, what is that? Why? Let me ask questions. And I did not do that. That was a big mistake. I didn't do that at all in optometry school. Only recently did I start raising my hand again in continuing education classes, because once it gets that competitive, it gets competitive. That's just the nature of things. I mean, like, think about it. In optometry school, they choose the best of the best from all kind of different schools. So you're competing against each other. So if somebody asks a stupid question, people remember you for that, and then they do judge you for it. But you gotta not give a F about what people think about you. And you just gotta raise your hand and say, wait a minute, it doesn't matter if everybody else understands this. I do not. I need extra help. My grades aren't that good. Sure, you guys are hanging out over the weekend, but honestly, I can't. I don't understand it. I gotta ask the professors. I gotta ask other teachers. And in clinic too, when you're seeing patients, there are going to be supervisors who are a little mean. You gotta say, I don't understand. Just say that. I do not understand what's going on. I really want to understand. All right. So let me kind of start the next topic, and then I'll answer your question. So I took optometry school one day at a time. It was really difficult. I didn't ask for help like I should have. I wasn't honest. I didn't raise my hand. And so the next thing would be to find like-minded people and to find friends within school that you could talk to. And not realizing the world why did I write this? Anyways, let's get into the questions. Why optometry and not medicine? I felt a calling for optometry. I was able to spend 6 weeks at Duke Medical School, and I spent 1 day at SUNY Optometry. Honestly, with medical school, it's back to being honest with yourself. Maybe I was cut out for it, but I didn't think I was cut out for it back then. I just thought it was a lot of hours, and it was just not for me. I knew that it would be way more than 4 years, and financially speaking, that wasn't possible. I needed to provide for myself, for my parents and whatnot, and seeing optometry and seeing how you're still really into healthcare and you still have a great work-life balance. I mean, now it's mainly like life, but that's what drove me to choose optometry school more. And what did I wish I knew when I applied to optometry school? I wish I knew other people applying to optometry school. I think I only knew one person, because Instagram, this was 2008, 2009. Instagram and YouTube was not really that sort of thing. I wish I had talked to people. I was so shy. I never told anyone. So I didn't know who else was applying and whatnot. So that would have been great, knowing someone else. But I know what you mean though. In terms of what I wish I knew when I applied to optometry school, I wish I knew how competitive it would have been. I don't know. What else do I wish I would have known? I wish I would have known you guys ready for some tea? So they match you up in optometry. I wish I would have known that the optometry school was very small. It was a small class size. Because being from New York, I'm not used to like small town things. The one kind of bad thing about a lot of these programs is that you don't have that many students there. So from my insecure point of view, because that was all me, other people are constantly in your business. They probably were not, but let's face it, they were a little bit. So I wish I knew how truly small the class size was. And it was just something that I didn't realize. And back to before my first day, our school had a big sister, little sister program. And with the big sister, little sister program, I was entering first year to optometry school. They set us up with a second year in optometry school. And they set me up with someone who already knew me. And for me, I was like, I was upset about that back then because the reasoning behind the school was that, oh, you two know each other already because you both went to the same undergrad. Like, to me, that was not helpful because my undergrad was diverse and optometry school was not diverse. I was hoping that my big sister would be somebody who I didn't know, who was from a different walk of life, somebody who could introduce me to non-diversity. What do I know? I know 99-cent stores. I know waiting at Elmer's Hospital for hours. I don't know about cottage homes and lake homes. I wanted someone to tell me about that. But they set me up with someone who I already knew. And I was so upset about that. I remember telling my husband, he was my boyfriend back then, like, why would they make my big sister someone who already knows me? That doesn't make any sense. I wanted my big sister to be somebody different. And so apart from knowing me, she kind of didn't like me in undergrad. So that therein too, it's like, why are you matching people up just because you might know each other? Like, the whole point of mentorship is meeting someone like new. So that really, I feel like that sent me back a bit. Anyways, I'm gonna drink my water because like I'm talking a lot. But once again, another big mistake was not realizing how small this world is. This world is so tiny. Manhattan is such a small island. I didn't realize that. And so something that I hope you take away from this is that whatever field you're trying to go into, it is a small, small world. Try to get to know everyone. Try to show curiosity in everyone. And yeah, if they're not if you two are staring at each other like this, like afraid of each other, like you have to try to get to know them, basically. That's what it is. So yeah, getting set up with a big sister who doesn't like you and who you already knew was not helpful. And let me see. And then that goes back to, I mean, I don't know if it's like, it's not segregation, the word is escaping me, but we tend to find other people who look like us, who have the same experiences as us. And if you're the only Latina there, you're only going to find a small group, whereas everybody else who's, not diverse, they're going to find each other and they're going to look at you and like not be sure of you, and all that stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. But if we're in this together, and thank goodness there are platforms like Instagram and YouTube where we can find people who talk about everything. So I got that. I started my podcast because I have a lot to talk about. I'm a huge fan of Gary Vee. I'm a huge fan of Casey Neistat. And for years, they've been saying, download the Anchor app and tell your story. And I encourage every single one of you to share your story, because you are going to impact at least one person's life. And one is enough. All right, so where did I go to undergrad? I went to St. John's University in Queens. I was a biology major, chemistry minor. Chemistry minor means that I took advanced organic chemistry. I did have a friend in that. Oh my God. Eldice, my friend Eldice, she was my best friend in undergrad, and we did everything together. She was going to take the MCATs, but then she had something happen in her family, like a health scare, and so she never took it. These kind of things really set us back. She was also, I think she was, her background was Salvadorian. I'm Peruvian, by the way, guys. So, like, our experiences are different. Unfortunately, when one little thing happens in our family, it can really change things. So, it sounds like my passion for optometry. It did. So again, growing up, back to middle school, I couldn't see the board, and I wanted to see the board, and I told my parents, and somehow they listened to like squeaky little me saying, I can't see that board. So they took me to Sears Optical, and I didn't want to wear glasses because I was getting picked on. Remember, at middle school, I was bullied. So I wanted to wear contacts, and I was the only one wearing contacts in middle school and all of high school. And I remember telling people all the time, you can't see those small letters. You're supposed to be able to see those small letters. Get your eyes checked. I would say it from early on. And I learned all about progressive glasses with my parents. I love eyes. Eyes are beautiful. I was always really into makeup too. I'm not wearing much right now, but it just all like added up. All right. So that's another point. So to recap, 4 key things that I want you to take away from this is, please ask for help. And if someone makes fun of you, next. We don't have time for that, guys. No time for that. Ask for help, no matter who. And if that person can't help you, be like, well, who can? Because I don't know. And then number 2, be curious, guys. Always be curious about absolutely everything, especially the field that you are studying. You are going to be doing this, God willing, for the next 30 years. So you got to have a passion for it. Oh my God, I do clinically correct. They're all closed right now though, because of COVID-19. But DM me, please. DM me at New York Eye Doc. That's my Instagram. So at NEWYORKEYEDOC. All right. So ask for help. Be curious. Work hard. because people notice all the time, and that's all I know. My parents have worked hard their entire lives. My dad is still out there working, and I'm like, please stop. But, you know, for us as Latinos, Latinas, working is equals survival. So work is all you gotta do. Work hard and just be the best that you can be, and talk to others. Oh my gosh, I still struggle with that. I'm so shy. So I wouldn't talk to others about my problems. That kind of ties in for asking for help. But yeah, there's many places clinically correct. I walked around all of Forest Hills and Rego Park. I was like, hey, I really want to get into optometry school. Is there a possibility that I could shadow? And then it worked out. But I walked. That was a really hot summer day in 2010. I walked, I called, found somewhere. And that's what we do. We're tireless, we're hardworking, and we can make it happen. So I need to drink water. Ask me more questions, guys, please. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for joining. Okay. Let me get to my notebook. All right, so we covered a lot of things, and then optometry school was so difficult. I did end up finding a few people who could identify with me and a few professors who could identify with me, which was amazing. One professor believed in me, and she had me teach one of the labs as a teaching assistant, which was amazing, and that was great. I should have spoken up more. I should have said that I needed help earlier. So that was one big thing, and I hope you guys are able to do that. And so yeah, I graduated. So during optometry school, there's a huge volume of information. When I first started, I initially thought it's just glasses and eyes. What is there to know? Well, apparently your eye is connected to your brain, which is, it's so intense. There's so much that goes into it. Yeah. How many of you had an eye exam within the last year? Send me a little eye emoji if you've had an eye exam. Put an eye emoji, and if you wear glasses, put a little glasses emoji down there. I want to see. And what else, guys? So in optometry school, there's 3 parts of boards. There's boards part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 is all didactic. It's all the subjects, which unfortunately the boards was supposed to happen in March 17th, 18th, around then. It got canceled, guys. It got completely canceled. So I feel for my 3rd years. It's intense. Valeria, it depends on how much, honestly, it depends financially on how much you're going to pay. I covered that in the beginning, so we're going to save these stories, but try to accumulate no debt in undergrad. I thought, because our college office didn't tell us anything in high school, I thought that CUNY and SUNY were the cheapest, but back then in 2008, all the private schools were cheaper because they were able to give me larger financial aid packages. So I have no debt from undergrad. Thank God. I have no debt from undergrad. I have all my debt from optometry school. Had I gone to CUNY or SUNY, I would be in debt from undergrad. So it's I would recommend SUNY only because it's maybe a little easier to navigate, but check your financial aid packages, guys. I guess I am taking students into mentor. Yes, I am, Leslie. I got a lot of time on my hands. I'm only working part-time at my hospital right now, and because of everything that's going on, so yes, I got a lot of time. SUNY is going to be the only reason why, I mean, yes, CUNY does produce amazing students, but for those of us who are newcomers, right, navigating the CUNY system is intense. Like, to go, you have to complete all these extra classes that you don't need to, and there's not really going to be anybody who is going to like guide you through things like I had in a private school. You need to, you need to see your financial aid packages. That's the most important. But send me a message. Let's talk about what school you want to go to. DM me at NewYorkEyeDoc at NEWYORKEYEDOC. Okay. Did I miss a question? Please ask it again, guys. Thank you. It's all I know, girl. All I know is hustle. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much, Fred. What about optometry? It is intense. It's just crazy how much stuff goes on in your eye. Glaucoma, cataracts, diabetic retinopathy, uveitis, and in children. Guys, question for everybody. How old does a child have to be when they get their first eye exam? I'm gonna let you guess. 6 months. A child needs to be 6 months old, and that's when we can start giving them their very first eye exam. Because at that age, everything is developing. All the connections from hand to eye to brain are being made, and we need to get those kids in there. We need to know if they have large prescriptions or not. We need to know if they have congenital cataracts, if they, God forbid, have, something else going on in their retina. All these sort of things. Thank you so much, Fred. Seeing clearly is so important. So many times I'll see 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds come into my office like for their very first eye exam, and they have a large prescription and they're just not seeing as clearly as they should be. And they never knew that they could be seeing as clearly as they could their whole lives, and it impacts things, certainly. I think, are we running out of time? All right, ask me questions, guys. So I took the 3 parts of boards. Board 1, didactic. Part 2 was treatment and management of ocular diseases. Part 3 was clinical skills, where we had to fly down to North Carolina, Charlotte. And there were like fake patients, and we had to run through a whole eye exam. Oh, so good. Such good stuff. And then I graduated. It was an amazing, beautiful day. I got my hair all did. It was wonderful. I was so happy. I got myself a large graduation cake because that was just amazing. And then before graduating, I went on a medical mission trip with Sights on Health, so at Sights on Health. And then I started working my very first job at an ophthalmologist's office. So it was an ophthalmology/optometry office. And I learned so much from there. Guys, your first job out of school is not going to be your last. And the learning curve is so steep. Yes, I did switch jobs because I was hoping to find something more comfortable, but I keep thinking about how much I learned. In that very first job was when I saw my first case of acute angle closure glaucoma. And if you don't know what that is, acute angle closure glaucoma is when you have like an eye emergency and your eye pressure spikes up so high because, oh my gosh, I have my models. Because, let's flip this. So because this angle between your cornea and your iris, the little blue part, on some people it's narrow and it can get stuck. And when it gets stuck, that's an eye emergency, and the eye pressure inside the eye spikes up completely and things get shut and people feel nauseous. Their eye becomes super red. And the first time I saw it, it was like a month out of school. I didn't know what to do. The other optometrist was busy. So I was like, yo, you gotta handle this. And I went into my Will's Eye Manual book. It's not by me, but Will's Eye Manual. I read what to do and we did it, and we got that lady out of there good as new. Thank you so much. I love getting back to my community too. Guys, please check out At Sights on Health. That's the nonprofit that I've been involved with since I was a student. Every year we go out in Peru and Ecuador and give eye exams and also perform glaucoma surgeries and cataract surgeries in patients in need. Both my parents are Peruvian, which is why I felt a really big need to give back. What else am I doing along with private practice? I'm not in private practice anymore. I'm at a community hospital in New York, so all my opinions are my own. But apart from that, I'm working really hard on social media just to bring awareness about eye health. It's really heartbreaking to see young people lose their vision from preventable things like uncontrolled diabetes, from uncontrolled glaucoma, from large prescriptions. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that I just spit. It's heartbreaking to see that. To see patients with advanced cataracts. Of course, we expect developing nations, those people to have advanced cataracts, but I see that still within educated folks and all that who have really advanced cataracts, and they're suffering and not seeing clearly. And it's like, why is that happening? So for me, a big part is being involved in social media and trying to educate everyone about eye health, because a lot of blindness and a lot of vision loss is preventable. And all we need to do is to see you annually. Get your eye exam annually, get your eye pressure checked, get a dilated eye exam, check your retina. And Unfortunately, blindness really affects the Latino community. So much diabetic retinopathy. I'm not sure what the exact link is, but a lot of laborers, they end up having like fibrosis, so that in the back of the eye, that's when there's so much bleeding. Hey, Dr. Angela. That's when there's so much bleeding that you just become blind, and it's heartbreaking. And I like wish that I had like seen them earlier. And a beautiful thing about New York hospitals is that we do see undocumented patients. There is emergency Medicaid. It saved my dad's life, and we're able to make such an impact in other people's lives. So that's something I'm incredibly passionate about. Did I miss a question? How can we get interdisciplinary connections to improve? Fred, I think it's up to us as on an individual basis. For right now, that's what I'm trying to do. I think I need to reach out more and like give presentations in my hospital. That's one goal I have once all this passes, because it's really interconnected with endocrinology, with rheumatology, with what else, Dr. Angela? What other specialties do we co-manage with? Oncology, all these different things that we can. If something, the eye is the only place where you can see blood vessels in vivo and how it's functioning without having to cut anywhere else in your body. So that's where you can see the first signs of diabetes. That's where you can see if there's maybe even if there's like a higher like incidence of colon cancer, like we can kind of screen that too. You end up having like way too many chirpy spots is what it's called. So interdisciplinary connections, I think it's up to all of us individually as optometrists more for us to reach out and talk to all of you guys about what we do and put out more content, pumping out the content on here on social media, right? Yes, Will's eye. I need to bring it over. Let's see. I hope this doesn't cut off in an hour, guys. You think it does? Send me questions within the next 3 minutes and send me this little thing, this little emoji if you and your family are safe. I know this COVID thing has been like crazy, but hopefully we can get through this. I just want to know if all of you are safe and happy and healthy. Next topic. I'm agree. Okay. Now at the hospital, I'm super focused on pediatrics. And the importance of that is before age 9 is when we're able to prevent amblyopia. So if I'm able to get your kid or a child who has a large prescription into glasses, that's when we can make a big impact in their lives. Children cannot tell us that they can't see the board. Children cannot tell us that they're seeing double. Children can't tell us, oh, I hate studying. Like, why do you hate studying? Maybe they have a really large prescription. And if you guys check my posts out, I'm going to write my Instagram. I'm going to write it right here, at New York Eye Doc. Latinos have been shown, Latino children have the higher rates of astigmatism than any other population. This is going to run out. Oh my God. So Latino children need to get screened. Go to my Instagram. There's a whole thing about that. And what else? Last minute questions, guys. I love all of you. Send me a DM. I want to know how you and your family are doing. I love pediatrics. Children are our future. I love kids. I'm a kid myself. It's super easy. You got to find what you're passionate about. And that's what I'm passionate about. And to do that, you got to try different things. Maybe things you're not so comfortable with. But yeah, get that done. And what did I write here? So let's recap, guys. Please always ask for help. Be curious, work hard, and talk to others about any questions. Send me a DM at New York Eye Doc to talk about my journey. Last minute questions, guys. We have 67 seconds left. Hey, everyone. And yeah, I think we covered everything. I think I want to save this for life, you guys. I love all of you. Please stay safe. The case numbers here keep increasing. I don't know. Guys, look up on New York Times Elmhurst Hospital. So Google Elmhurst Hospital, New York Times. I live 4 blocks away. It's crazy. Please stay safe. Stay indoors. Try to talk to your parents and family members and all that. I know my parents still want to keep going outside, but it's stop. All right. There's so much to do at home. And yeah, another Peruana on here. All right, Valeria, you got to send me a DM. Both my parents are Peruvian. I still go down to Peru every year to do medical missions. It's postponed right now. And if you missed some of this, please rewatch it because I cried. I cried in the middle of this, all right? So I'm going to watch this too. Again, guys, work really hard and, cold call people. Cold call, DM, call, email. Good luck.